Let's raise the big question then. Who is ahead in the battle for Maharashtra? And what are the key X factors in this election? Joining us now, our special guests. I'm joined by Suhash Palshikar. He is one of the foremost political academics in this country, retired professor from Pune University, and is seen as, dare I call him, one of the eminence gris when it comes to politics, particularly of his home state. I'm also joined by Girish Kuber, editor of Lok Sakta, again one of the most respected journalists in Maharashtra. Rajat Sethi is a political commentator and strategist who's based himself in Mumbai, working with political groups there and shaping election strategies. And I'm joined by Dhaval Kulkarni, Senior Associate Editor, India Today, and author of books on Maharashtra. And Sahil Joshi, our Mumbai Bureau Chief and Senior Editor, Managing Editor, is also with us. I appreciate all of you joining us. Before I come, I'm going to give you all each X factor. And we're going to go X factor by X factor to decide kaun jeetega Maharashtra. That's the big question. Maharashtra kaun jeetna? Who will win Maharashtra? First X factor. Is this the ultimate seat-by-seat local fight in 6 mini-states that have been rolled into one state? That's what I want to start with. And Professor Palshikar, why don't you start? Is this very different to any other state because of the size? And it is basically 6 different states that are voting: Vidarbha, Marathwada, North Maharashtra, Western Maharashtra, Konkan, and Mumbai, Thane.
Well, Rajdeep, while the regional factors are relevant, that is not very unique to Maharashtra. States like Bihar, West Bengal, Madhya Pradesh, every state has its own regions and regional dynamics. What happens in Maharashtra, however, is that over the last 2 decades, there is absolutely no certainty about which party really dominates which region. Traditionally, a state that was dominated by Congress, once the Congress dominance was over, it has been open for grabs, and the BJP has been fighting hard over the last 20 years to grab the state of Maharashtra. So more than regions, I would say that the X factor really is practically every constituency, because the election is being reduced to an extremely localized matter currently, at least.
Before I go to the other case, just to press you on that, the reason I said it unique is because I don't know any other state, Professor Palshikar, where over 40 years, going back to 1985, we haven't had a single party government. It's either been alliance government, milli-julie government. So it seems that Maharashtra from the outside is a mirror cracked. And that's why I said 6 mini states rolled into one.
True. Traditionally, it has been said, for example, that Vidarbha is a contest between BJP and Congress, whereas Mumbai has been a contest originally between BJP and Shiv Sena themselves. Congress and NCP were second players in that region, Konkan included. Western Maharashtra, the 2 Congress parties were fighting with each other, and Marathwada is probably the most unstable politically region of the state. So yes, if you press me, I would say that each region does have its own dynamics. The point I was making, however, was that probably these regional or sub-regional identities are also getting somewhat sidelined this time around.
That's interesting. Girish Kuber, try and give us an explanation for that. Is it also partly because what was a relatively stable state in terms of politics fought within the Congress largely till the 1980s has now seen the emergence in this election of 6 parties spread across 2 alliances? It's like a pack of cards. The cards are the same, only there are more players grabbing them.
Correct. Yeah, it's not only regional, it's going to be each and every constituency-wise fight, you know. So there will be 288 elections in Maharashtra. And trust me, there is not a single seat one can be assured of 100% safe seat for any of the political party. So it's that bad or that's complicated in Maharashtra this time. So 6 official players, add to it dissidents. So it's going to be something like 8 or 9 corner contest in every or almost important constituencies. So it's that kind of a fragmentation which is actually impacting Maharashtra, and it's going to impact even further if it continues even after this election.
You know, therefore, Rajat Sethi, it must be a nightmare. There are people like you planning out strategies, whether it's for the BJP or any of the parties. I believe it is more likely, to be with the BJP. Is it a nightmare for a strategist like you or indeed a surveyor? How do you survey if there are 7, 8 players at times in a constituency?
So I think, Rajdeep, the way the election campaign has unfolded so far, it seems like it's a World Cup match and the pressure is too much to perform. And every party is trying to be risk averse. There are just no risky appetite left with any party. So you will see a lot of predictable steps being taken by every constituent, including, say, the BJP or the NCP or the Sharad Pawar Gut, all of the parties. And for this reason, what we are seeing is that the dissidents, how much the political analysts would have anticipated, say, a month back, did not unfold to that level. There are certain pockets where we are seeing some dissidents here and there, but largely because if you go after the settled MLA and the opposition sort of goes after the biggest challenger to the MLAs, the dust seems to be settled. It's not as much up in the air and becoming an X factor the way it became in Haryana. That's my understanding. Right. But however, as others senior panelists are also saying, it's an election where you need to keep a close eye as to which way the local currents are swaying, because local currents would be hard to capture sitting, say, in Mumbai. Getting a sense of what's going to happen in specific areas, even within Marathwada, is going to be very hard. A lot of seats would require proper management, micromanagement, nano management, whatever you want to say, till the very last.
Because Sahil, we have already seen in ticket distribution over the last few days, both these allies fighting bitterly for each seat. Now today we are being told Milind Deora is likely to contest against Aditya Thackeray from Worli. So it seems no one is leaving any seat. Everyone wants more seats. Each party, we are told, Samajwadi Party is saying, if you don't give us at least a minimum of 20 seats, we will walk out. Every party wants extra seats at the moment. How do you explain what is happening? Is this jostling about kaun banega Mukhyamantri? Or is it just a lot of bitterness, personal vendettas? Eknath Shinde wants to settle a score with the Thackeray's, so he's likely to put up Milind Deora versus Aditya Thackeray. Is it personal vendetta or power share?
Well, it's all mixed. It is definitely personal vendetta, and that is the reason why what we are seeing is that Nilesh Rane is jumping to Eknath Shinde Shiv Sena. After 20 years, somebody from Rane family is going to pick up bow and arrow symbol and going to fight in Konkan, only because they want to ensure that Shiv Sena UBT's candidate is defeated. Now, as far as Milind Deora is concerned, it also shows something different. I think that Eknath Shinde Shiv Sena is really fighting it very hard to find a proper candidate in a seat like Worli, which has been predominantly Shiv Sena seat, predominantly a seat where Shiv Sena would have ideally accepted a candidate with a Marathi middle class background who has been working on the ground. But they are trying to put Milind Deora, who is a proper South Mumbai candidate who has been shifted to Worli to contest assembly election, and it may turn out to be a completely different move. But I somehow agree with Rajat Sethi, because every party is trying to play a safe game. Everybody has become risk averse. If you look at the lists which has been declared till now, BJP out of 99, 80 seats, they have repeated their MLAs. On 5 seats, they are either given a ticket to their son or a daughter-in-law or somebody who is related to the MLA who cannot contest election anymore. On 3 of the constituencies, they have taken the independent candidates who have supported them, independent MLAs who supported BJP after elections and have been repeated them. 5 places, they have given tickets to the candidates who had lost last time. So even there, they haven't changed their candidate. And only 6 new candidates have been selected out of 99. And exactly similar situation you will find with Shiv Sena UBT, not Shiv Sena UBT, but Shiv Sena NCP,
so even the Congress,
as well as Shiv Sena.
I take your point.
Even in Congress.
Even the Congress has repeated most of its candidates. So they are playing safe. They're also playing a lot of family politics. Dhaval Kulkarni, you wrote a book, I think, on family politics of the Thackeray's. Look at the way it's playing out now. It's family versus family. You're seeing Sharad Pawar once again in Baramati. Ajit Pawar is likely now to face his nephew. Across the state, you will have an uncle in one party, nephew in the other party. You're seeing, in a way, Maharashtra split open. Raj Thackeray is also going to put up candidates. Is it now all in the family in Maharashtra? Family wars each one contesting for their specific areas of influence? Is that what we are also seeing?
Yes, Rajdeep, let me tell you, this is a watershed election for Maharashtra, and all parties are going to deploy resources, they are going to deploy caste, religion, etc. to win this election. After all, democracy is about choosing the lesser evil. It's a choice between Sapnath and Nagnath. But I think now, this time, Hammam mein sab nange, it's that kind of a situation there. So coming to the Thakres and coming to the very sort of idea of family politics, I think that this election will determine the fate of two political parties. That is, which faction of the Shiv Sena is the real Shiv Sena. Number two, which of the two NCP factions is the real NCP. But it will also determine the political fate of four leaders, that is Eknath Shinde, Uddhav Thackeray, Ajit Pawar and also Devendra Fadnavis. Now coming to family politics, it is said that the politics of Maharashtra actually revolves around 150 established families, largely from the Maratha community. And if you go through the lists of candidates announced by all political parties, I think that cements this particular hypothesis. Because you have constituencies, you have districts, for example, in Airoli, Ganesh Naik is contesting, the former Mr. Ganesh Naik is contesting as a candidate of the Bharatiya Janata Party. In neighboring Belapur, his son Sandeep Naik has jumped ship to the NCP Sharad Chandra Pawar and is contesting as a candidate of that party.
Right.
Sindhudurg, you have Nitesh Rane who's fighting to retain his seat, that is Kankauli, as a BJP MLA. On the other hand, in the neighboring Kudal constituency, his elder brother Nilesh Rane has switched to the Shiv Sena and is contesting as a candidate of that party against the Shiv Sena UBT's Vaibhav Naik. So I think basically political loyalties, political fidelities have all fallen by the wayside.
Yeah, so it is, that's an interesting point. Political fidelity, there is no fidelity. They're all being infidelity is the way forward as long as you get a seat. All these people want a seat. I don't get a seat, I am ready to switch over. Samir Bhujbal's nephew doesn't get a seat, decides to contest as an independent. It is about kaun jeetega seats. But the family wars are an interesting dimension of Maharashtra's politics, Suhash Palshikar. We talk of dynasties, but Maharashtra seems to have, it's almost now become, the family legacies are being divided within families, whether it's Thakres, whether it's Pawars, or whether it is district level satraps as well.
Again, I would say that yes, it is not just about Maharashtra everywhere, but in Maharashtra this time, for various reasons, family seems to be at the center of all political contestations. And it's a sad comment on the way our parties are run, that they can't look beyond and they don't have the capacity to absorb beyond established families new entrants into politics. In a sense, this is a cyclical situation that for last 20 years we say that there is a stagnation in the state politics. On the other hand, we find that parties are unable to involve new blood easily and keep the same families sort of circulating in power circles.
Let me just take that forward to you to the second X factor and bring in all our panelists, starting with you again, Dr. Palshikar, is cash handouts by the Shinde government. Is that an X factor, especially Ladki Bahin impact on women? Remember, since July this year, 1,500 rupees given to poor women earning less than an annual income of 2,50,000. Over 2 crore families have got these benefits, adding up to 7,500. I wrote an article today, Professor Palshikar, suggesting it could be either seen as a bribe or it could be seen as a game changer. Is it both? Is it a bribe or a game changer?
It's bribe in a sense because all such facilities announced on the eve of elections are tantamount to bribes. But it's not a bribe also because voters don't easily really vote just on the basis of these so-called facilities that are extended to them. In a recent survey, it was found, for example, that many of the beneficiaries are not in a mood to vote for the Mahayuti. So it is not a one-to-one relationship that you pay so many women Ladki Bahin scheme grants and they vote for you. It might be only a marginal advantage to the BJP, Shiv Sena, NCP-led government. You say it is a game changer only probably to the extent that the difference between the two coalitions is so thin that just a small change in women's vote can actually benefit the Mahayuti.
Girish Kuber, do you think this is the big game changer? We saw in Madhya Pradesh, Shivraj Singh Chauhan turned around an election last year with his Ladli Behna scheme. Can Maharashtra, the Shinde government, Mukhyamantri Ladki Bahin scheme do that for him and the Mahayuti?
No, I don't think so. I don't think so for two reasons. First is, before that, it's neither a bribe, it's neither nor a game changer. For two reasons. First is in Madhya Pradesh, it was properly planned. It was not because of some setback in parliamentary elections and all that. Number two, even those who are benefiting because of the scheme, they also with full skepticism say that we know that it's going to be there for 3 months. So why not grab it?
So why is it not a bribe, Girish? Girish, why do you say it's not a bribe? I am giving people 4 months ahead of election 1,500 rupees a month and you're saying it's not a bribe?
In the sense, bribe morally it is, but the way it is structured in Indian context, I don't think it will be qualified as a bribe under the law. It should be actually. That's what you and me wish, but that's not going to happen. But politically, I don't think it will bring a major dividend to the ruling alliance.
Interesting.
For 2 reasons.
Interesting. You're saying that. Rajat Sethi, what are your surveys showing? Are you seeing a change? I hear from various pollsters that it is having some kind of an impact on the ground. And is this back to the Revdi culture? Narendra Modi ji, couple of years ago, said this is all Revdi culture, get out of it. Now he's doing khatakhat politics of the Congress and fatafat politics of Shinde.
See, I think, and I've said this before on your show, that all good economics have been reserved for the central government or at the center, and all bad economics has been pushed to the states. So be it not just this state, you look at all the neighboring states, Telangana, Karnataka, everywhere, it's all bad economics being thrusted down because when the state governments can't do enough to win over the hearts and minds of the voters, this is the last refuge. And I, however, see this scheme with from a little bit of different perspective. See, look at Lok Sabha results. At the time when the results came out, it was almost like a political wreckage for the ruling NDA, both at the center and at the state. They had to somehow change the narrative. They need to go out to the public with something to talk about in a positive light and have certain marginal voting benefits. And that's about it. Certain marginal 1 or 2 or 3% benefits, which we are observing in the survey, might be enough on an aggregate level to basically go past that majority mark or the vote share majority mark, and also give the BJP enough ammunition to go to the public and talk about something. Otherwise, past 2 years or so has been only about political entrepreneurship of one kind or the other kind, breaking of families and leaving the voters in a very distasteful mind.
So you're saying
I think that seems to have changed to some extent.
It has changed the narrative, many believe. Sahil Joshi, has it changed the narrative? Your team in Mumbai Tak has been tracking Maharashtra. Do you get a sense that more and more women are talking about Ladki Bahin?
They're talking about Ladki Bahin, and why would they not talk about it? Because if somebody is giving you 1,500 rupees a month directly in your account, they would definitely appreciate it. And that is what normally in Mumbai, in any of the middle class family, they pay to the household worker who come to wash the utensils at home. So it's almost like a 1 month pay to them. So obviously they will talk about it. But that is not what we want to discuss, because interestingly, what I have seen normally is that when you declare such kind of schemes, it's kind of a retention scheme given in the corporate world. When you are not sure about your employee whether he will be retained or not, you will not see such kind of schemes in UP or in Bihar, because there the political parties are more or less confident about who are actually going to vote for them. Whereas in Maharashtra, it seems now that the political leadership is not sure about whether they have a sufficient vote bank to get them elected in 2024, number one. Number two, it also shows a lot of things, is that there is a lot of rural distress. Normally, any government starts announcing such kind of schemes when there is an economic distress. That is how the Manrega started in Maharashtra, right? So if there is a rural distress, is it sufficient to give 7,000 rupees in 5 months and expect that they will start voting for you? When you ask this question, I started looking at the schemes announced during the Lok Sabha elections, and it comes to around 15 schemes. If you just give me a 30 seconds time, there are 15 schemes they were promoting at that particular time, and they were called Labharthis during the election campaign. And these 15 schemes in last 9 years, they were claiming that this has benefited people from Maharashtra, and the total amount of the schemes related to farmers comes to around 1.10 crore farmers. It's almost 10% of the people of the Maharashtra's population. Despite that, what we have seen is that because of the anger among the farmers in onion belt, in cotton belt, in soybean belt, the Mahayuti had suffered. So it is not sufficient. What I think is that, yes, of course, they are talking about it. It is a talking point in Maharashtra. Right. But is it enough to convert it into a vote? It's something what we will have to wait.
Let's therefore turn to the next X factor in this context only, which is agrarian distress. Because one of the stories, untold stories, not told often enough, is agrarian distress in rural Maharashtra. We talk of Maharashtra, outside Maharashtra, and look at Mumbai, Pune, look at the bright lights and the industrial powerhouse that undoubtedly the state is. But agrarian distress is a major issue. Just to throw some numbers at you, in terms of farmer suicides, 2021, 2,743, 2022, 2,942, 2023, 2,851 farmers committed suicide in Maharashtra. Worst affected areas, Vidarbha and Marathwada. Therefore, Dhaval Kulkarni, could this be an election where this is the other unseen X factor? We don't know how deep the agrarian distress is. Is it enough to give 1,500 rupees a month to somehow douse the anger? How do you see the farmer, the kisan, becoming a key issue?
See, Rajdeep, let me tell you, you spoke about, let me stretch your bribe analogy for a bit. I'll put it this way. In fact, the present dispensation is trying to fight elections using public money. So if you go through the list of all these schemes announced by the state government, after the Lok Sabha elections, they have announced over 90,000 crore worth of schemes, of which Ladki Bahin involves a financial outgo of 46,000 rupees per year. Now, the problem with these schemes is that they are very patchwork schemes. Giving 1,500 rupees to women, subject to a ceiling of 2 women per family, 1,500 rupees is a substantial amount, especially in rural areas, maybe not in the metropolitan city like Mumbai. But these are just patchwork measures. These are just optics. The government has not tried to address the reasons for poverty, the reasons for agrarian distress. Today we are talking about making Maharashtra an investment destination. You speak to many businessmen, you speak to many entrepreneurs, they'll tell you that nowadays it's getting extremely difficult to do business in Maharashtra for reasons that we all know.
But what again, are the reasons? For reasons that we all know, what are the reasons? No, Dhaval, you must tell us, what are the reasons? I don't know. What are the reasons why it's difficult to do business in Maharashtra?
It's very difficult to get permissions. The problem anywhere in India is the government. Dealing with the government involves a certain amount of rent seeking. When it comes to permissions, when it actually comes to running a business, there are too many old and antiquated laws, regulations, etc. that come into play, which are exploited by the bureaucracy. Remember, regardless of who is in power, it is a bureaucracy which actually controls the levers of power. Government, any government,
I take your point. I think
any government anywhere wants to...
Go ahead, complete.
I think any government anywhere wants to use these very patchwork measures, these optics, to sort of cover the larger issues on hand. But let me tell you that coming to your first X factor, this will be a test of revdi politics. If the Eknath Shinde regime can pull through this sort of election, I think it will usher in a new era of provide and rule politics, where the government sort of, switches to very visible sort of welfarism.
Okay, therefore, Suhash Palshikar, I mentioned agrarian distress as one of, we are talking a lot about Ladki Bahin in all our programs. Is this an election where agrarian distress, MSP of soya bean, MSP of cotton, which the farmers claim has not been given, versus a government which has laid out a series of welfare schemes, if you call them welfare schemes, over the last 4 months, cash handouts, direct benefits, versus agrarian distress. Are these the two critical X factors in a way?
No, not really. In fact, the announcement of all these schemes tells us two things. One is that the government doesn't have any plans or long-term policies to address these issues. The second thing is nobody, leave aside only the government, Mahayuti or Mahavikas Aghadi, nobody is speaking of agrarian distress in Maharashtra. In a sense, it's a beautiful arrangement for entire political establishment to sidetrack the most uncomfortable questions and talk only about superficial issues. And the point that Mr. Rajat was making earlier about setting up a narrative, setting up a story, I think all parties are only interested in setting up a story, a good story or bad story. Unfortunately for the Mahavikas Aghadi, even in their bad story, the question of agrarian distress and long-term issues to be addressed doesn't appear anywhere. So it is only optics, and that is the sad part of this electoral politics that we are witnessing.
Very interesting, because there is a governance deficit clearly, which brings me to our next X factor. And again, a lot it's being talked about, but maybe it again reflects the deeper structural crisis facing a state like Maharashtra, which is Maratha reservation versus OBC consolidation. Now think about it. The Marathas have dominated Maharashtra's politics and society in many ways, and yet they want reservation. On the other side, the BJP is looking to consolidate OBC votes. How is all this playing out? Girish Kuber, we thought Maharashtra was this socially progressive state which would rise above caste divides. This election is showing caste is as dominant, it appears, at least from the outside in Maharashtra, as it is in an Uttar Pradesh or a Bihar.
Yeah, we are not better than UP or Bihar, you know, I mean, it's the same. The issue now is how BJP has opened the Pandora's box, you know. Ahead of 2019 election, just to win over Marathas, Devendra Fadnavis government, Devendra Fadnavis, he himself being a Brahmin, he announced Maratha reservation. And he couldn't fulfill that promise because of various reasons, legal issues and Supreme Court decision. And I mean, we don't have to go into details. But the issue now is that can he, any state can offer reservations to Marathas under the OBC category. Right. Dilemma for the BJP is that they are very strong in OBC since 1985 when Mr. Bhagwat thought of creating an OBC front, Mahi, Dhangars and Mandaris for the BJP, Madhav. So now the problem is that from the same category, pie remains the same. They want to chop it further to accommodate 33% Marathas. It's going to be a huge issue. Forget elections. It will even widen the social divide in Maharashtra, which will have a serious long-term impact. And this election, right, I'm sure it's going to widen the gap. And that's really serious one.
Suhash Palshikar, is that worrying? That Maharashtra is finding itself also fractured increasingly around caste lines. Local Maratha leaders like Zarange Patil are virtually dictating terms to whoever is in power in the state. Give us reservations under OBC category or the Marathas won't vote for you. I mean, it almost seems as if reservation politics of the kind we saw, as I said, in North India is now creeping into Maharashtra.
Yes. One aside initially is that this entire question of Maratha reservations is in a sense a reflection of the efforts to not talk about agrarian distress and structural distortions in the economy of the state. But apart from that, yes, I agree with Mr. Girish Kuber that we are not really going to witness any resolution of the Maratha question very easily. All political parties know that the Supreme Court ruling is a major roadblock. Right. And the cynicism is such that knowing that, the legislature passes unanimously a legislation giving reservations to the Marathas. This is only going to lead to a further bitterness between Marathas and the government on the one hand, and Marathas and the OBCs on the other hand. And the latter part is really going to stay with us for the next decade. The animosity between OBCs and the Marathas, once created, is going to stay there. It's not going to disappear very easily. And it is not merely about elections and who wins this election or next election.
You know, that is troubling. Rajat Sethi, the BJP wants to consolidate the OBC vote. We are told they're having lots of meetings of smaller OBCs. On the other hand, like in Haryana, they will probably hope that the dominant community, there it was the Jats, here the Marathas will get divided. In the process of playing this politics of caste, of divide, I'm not saying just the BJP is doing it. The Congress also is doing its own politics, and we'll come to that. But is it playing with fire? Is the BJP and all political parties playing with fire when it talks of reservation, gives 10% reservations to Marathas, for example?
I think BJP has been at a loss, and I don't think it was an architect for the current crisis of Maratha reservation in its current form, the way it has, spilled over on the streets.
No, Eknath Shinde gave it. Eknath Shinde's government gave it.
Any government would come in and give it. It's just that the structure and the way you go about it so that it remains tenable in the Supreme Court, there is no formula. There's no easy answer to it. But let me tell you, BJP has suffered at the hands of, the agitation which happened. And we saw there were some signs of Maratha consolidation with the Agadi, more so than it was with the Yuti in Maharashtra. We also saw some form, not in its entirety, a complete OBC sort of gravitating towards the Yuti. That also did not happen. It was, mix of lot of local agrarian issues, which, took away the farmers. The Dhangars had their own issues. Malis had their own issues, representation or otherwise. There are a whole bunch of localized issues which did not give us, analysts a pattern of understanding which way votes are consolidating. That's number one. Number two is now in the current form, what we are observing is that there is still no sharp consolidation of one caste with one alliance or the other alliance.
Right.
And this is what BJP's strategy seems to be so far is go after that narrative, batenge to katenge. Talk about unity. Talk about unity of the Hindu community as a whole.
No, batenge to katenge is about unity of the Hindu community. Let's be clear. Batenge to katenge is Yogi Adityanath's definition of Hindutva. Let's cut the chase.
Prime Minister, see, it's even Prime Minister very clearly after Haryana win, also from the BJP head office, he hinted that the core plank of BJP would be to keep telling the constituents that we cannot be divided on the caste lines.
So they are saying consolidate the Hindu vote. So you're saying it's Hindutva versus caste. Simply put,
100%.
simplistically put, BJP looking to consolidate Hindutva versus caste. You're smiling, Suhash Palshikar. I'll come to you, Sahil, in a moment. But you were smiling when you heard batenge to katenge. Yes, Professor Palshikar.
After Diwali, there would be rallies by the Prime Minister. And I think it is that time when the narrative for the BJP would be set on these lines. Though he might not talk of batenge to katenge, the entire message would be that of Hindu unity. Once that message is given, the expectation would be that disgruntled Marathas and suspicious OBCs would also rally behind the BJP and BJP-led Mahayuti. So the real game, while we are discussing all these strategies today, would really inaugurate only after Diwali. The real firecrackers, so to say, in Maharashtra's elections are after Diwali.
So the real dhamaka, Hindu unity, which you believe the BJP will play the card versus caste politics on the other, which brings me to my next X factor, and this is where the opposition will have much to answer, because Sahil Joshi, Dalit Muslim alliance on the ground. We saw in the 2024 Lok Sabha, this was a major factor. Dalits, Muslims coming together, Vidarbha, Mumbai, other parts. Is that alliance now what the opposition is banking on? You can add the Kunbi community and make it DMK in Vidarbha. Are they banking on this consolidation, that while BJP tries to consolidate a Hindu vote, the opposition tries to consolidate a Dalit, Muslim, Adivasi, Kunbi identity?
The fourth X factor is actually kind of counter to the third X factor we were just discussing a while back about Maratha versus the OBC consolidation. So the consolidation is actually Dalit, Muslim and Adivasi. It is not OBC or that of Maratha, because in Maharashtra, I don't think that Marathas in 6 regions vote, in a
very
but
will Dalits see themselves as Dalits, or do they see themselves as part of a wider Hindu identity?
No, so there is a difference between the Hindu Dalits and, of course, the Bauds, which actually went with Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar and took Diksha in Nagpur. So there is, of course, that kind of a difference. But if the Hindutva card would have been successful in Maharashtra, then BJP wouldn't have needed Ajit Pawar in the alliance. Then the BJP wouldn't have needed breakaway Shiv Sena factor and Eknath Shinde's party in the alliance. So the Hindutva card, they tried its peak in 1995, but despite that, they couldn't reach 144 mark. Even in 1995, when Balasaheb Thackeray was alive, he was taking rallies across Maharashtra. So that didn't work.
Are you saying Hindutva alone is not enough? You need Hindutva plus.
Hindutva alone is not enough in Maharashtra, because the Maharashtra social dynamics are completely different. There have been social movements in Maharashtra, and that's why the Hindutva card had never worked in Maharashtra. It may have worked in some urban centers, in some parts of Maharashtra, some part in Marathwada, maybe some part in Vidarbha, maybe in some part in Mumbai, maybe, but not across Maharashtra. It has always worked. Otherwise, BJP would have crossed the 40% vote share mark in Maharashtra way before. That has never happened. So they have to look beyond the Hindutva card, and that is the reason why this alliance is happening. I'll just add one line, because insiders from Mahayuti tell me that whenever Nitesh Rane, Narayan Rane's son, started taking rallies across Maharashtra, the first people to complain about it after Lok Sabha elections I'm talking about is Eknath Shinde and Ajit Pawar, that please rename Nitesh Rane, because it will consolidate the
You
Muslim
mean his
vote
hate speeches
us.
towards Muslim, when Nitesh Rane was giving hate speeches towards
Correct.
Muslims?
So there was a complaint by Eknath Shinde and Ajit Pawar that please rename Nitesh Rane because it is consolidating the Muslim votes. We don't want to go against Muslim votes. And please understand one thing, when you were talking about the schemes which were declared, there is one scheme which went unnoticed, is about the Tirth Yatra scheme. And you will be surprised to know that even Haji Malang Dargah, the Shiv Sena had made quite a hue and cry about, is also part of that Tirth Yatra scheme. The salaries of the madrasa teachers have been tripled in Maharashtra after the Lok Sabha elections by the government cabinet decision, whereas the BJP is opposing giving salaries to madrasa teachers in UP and elsewhere. Why this has happened? Because they have realized that the hardcore Hindutva doesn't work in Maharashtra. It consolidates the other part of the people who do not agree with the Hindutva ideology, and that is where the problem lied in the Lok Sabha election. So that has also happened in Maharashtra. So please try and understand this as well.
That's fascinating. I just for a moment want to bring you in, Girish Kuber, on this. The Dalit identity, this is the land of Ambedkar. Maharashtra politicians love to say we are the ones who are socially progressive. Shahu, Phule, Ambedkar, they will cite these names again and again. Has that Shahu, Phule, Ambedkar, particularly Ambedkar legacy, with Prakash Ambedkar himself now being accused by many critics of being a B team of the BJP in the Lok Sabha, is the whole Dalit identity consolidating once again in a way that perhaps we haven't seen in recent times?
No, I don't think so. There are two sections of Dalit. One is like pro-Hindutvawadi, or which is willing to be on the side of the BJP, like Ramdas Athawale, and who is upfront officially with the BJP, and other one is like Prakash Ambedkar, who behind he's in the wings supporting the BJP. But the larger point is that the RSS or the BJP, it's like another larger attempt to appropriate Ambedkar's legacy. So instead of Samata, they will call Samarasata. So this is BJP's version of appropriating Dalits, which is not happening as of now. And in the long run, whether they are successful, that will be interesting to see. But currently, it is not. It's not working, and that's exactly Hindutva is failing on that front. They are worried about the caste angle. They are worried about Dalit angle, and this is going to play in certain areas in Maharashtra, especially in Vidarbha.
Let me come from there to an interesting X factor, and this is where we come into personalities, and where television in particular looks at elections often through personalities. And I want to say one X factor, Professor Palshikar, is Sharad Pawar versus Amit Shah, battle of political Chanakyas. And many believe that the present disruption in Maharashtra's politics has two chess grandmasters, Mr. Shah and Mr. Pawar. It began 5 years ago when the Shiv Sena broke away from BJP and joined hands with the NCP Congress. Is this also a politics which is playing out? And it is reflecting, some say, in a sort of anti-Gujarati sentiment that the opposition is trying to stir, that businesses are being taken away from Maharashtra to Gujarat, that Gujaratis are running Maharashtra. Is there a subtle or not so subtle battle between Amit Shah and Sharad Pawar?
Well, I don't think in terms of electoral politics or campaign and optics, Amit Shah is really an important thing in Maharashtra. What would matter in Maharashtra would be, as I said earlier also, Modi's rallies. For the BJP in Maharashtra, probably Modi is the only asset currently besides what they have on the ground.
Not Fadnavis?
Amit Shah matters.
Fadnavis is not an asset, sir.
His supposed skills in micromanagement at the local level, and that is where, yes, Sharad Pawar and Amit Shah and everyone, all others really would be matching each other's wits. But I don't see, I wouldn't like to look at this election as a battle between Sharad Pawar and Amit Shah.
Right. You're saying it's not a battle between Sharad Pawar and Amit Shah. We'll leave it at that. I'm going to give you, therefore, the one final X factor that I have in this election. Ajit Pawar factor, asset or liability. Dhaval Kulkarni, we spoke about the Thakres. What about Ajit Pawar, asset or liability? And I can include also that within that another X factor, kaun banega CM, battle within the battle. So there's Eknath Shinde versus Uddhav Thackeray, and there's Ajit Pawar versus Sharad Pawar. Are these battles also going to play out? And not to forget Mr. Fadnavis.
See, I think round one of this Pawar versus Pawar battle has clearly gone to Sharad Pawar, because considering the strike record of his party and also considering the fact that his daughter Supriya Sule defeated Ajit Pawar's wife Sunetra Pawar from Baramati. But I think this time, during the assembly elections, Ajit Pawar may put up a relatively better show compared to his Lok Sabha showing, because he has the support of leaders who have a strong constituency presence, who have strong constituency support. So, which is why, he may notch up sort of good number of seats. How many we don't know, we know about it only on the 23rd of November. See, Ajit Pawar, I think, holds the record of being the longest serving deputy chief minister of any state. But he has a long cherished ambition to become the chief minister. Whether he will be able to do that, I think it depends on the post-poll scenario, because now we all know that nothing is sacred in Maharashtra's politics.
No, but nothing
and
is sacred.
except for
I take it,
Congress and BJP, and for Eknath Shinde and Uddhav Thackeray, anybody can come together.
The fact is that Rajat Sethi, will we see more? Rajat Sethi, could we see more post-poll shifts after the 23rd? Could the two Senas come together, the two NCPs come together, maybe shift sides? Are we going to see that? This is a battle for kaun banega CM, because everyone is a CM contender.
100%. I think every party is accounting for this bit of X factor, that what will happen in a post-election results scenario, who is going to switch loyalties in what direction, and everybody is therefore giving very mixed signals out here. And I think this is what has made the two principal sort of parties, the Congress and the BJP, sort of, jittery and risk averse and keeping their cards close to the chest. So I think largely everybody wants to ensure that the numbers that they get are such, the arithmetic is such that no new formation of no new alliances is arithmetically possible. Only then, can the wishful thinking of having their own chief ministers be possible. Otherwise, it's going to be...
Girish Kuber, are you ruling out more post-poll changes in Maharashtra? Could that happen? The two Pawars coming together, two Thackeray and Shinde, anything can happen?
Yeah. Considering what happened last 2.5 years, I'm not going to say anything on this front. Anything is possible in Maharashtra. Even Raj Thackeray, Uddhav Thackeray joining hands. There are hundreds of possibilities, and Maharashtra has become a kind of a laboratory of all such experiments. So I'm off the game now on this.
Suhash Palshikar, therefore, conclude for us. Given this Maha mess, I've called it every day a Maha mess. Is Maharashtra a Maha mess where we are seeing a complete breakdown of ideology, a mirror cracked, and power, a lust for power overcoming everything else? So, kuch bhi ho sakta hai come tomorrow.
Sure enough, kuch bhi ho sakta hai is probably the correct conclusion. My sense is that given the condition of the two coalitions, the third, fourth players probably, which we didn't discuss too much, would have a major say in the formation of the new government.
You're saying independents and smaller parties? When you say third, fourth players, you're saying independents and smaller parties could well decide Maharashtra?
Yeah, there is this Parivartan Aghadi, there is the Vanchit Bahujan Aghadi who might not get any seats, there is MNS and the rebels and independents.
Okay.
They might have a major role to play because the BJP would in any case not want Eknath Shinde to continue as chief minister.
Correct.
Okay.
And for that, it would have, by necessity, have to do some business with various other players in the state. So it is a free-for-all and all possibilities are open. Like what Girish Kuber said, I wouldn't stick my neck out saying who will be the next chief minister.
Let's leave it
After having
there.
Eknath Shinde becoming chief minister and earlier Ajit Pawar becoming early morning deputy chief minister, I think no sane person would really bet on who will be the next chief minister.
Let's leave it there. Maha mess is what we've been calling it for the past few days. And as I think this discussion shows, it's unique. But the stakes are very high because who wins Maharashtra, particularly among the two major national parties, could well set the template for Indian politics in the year ahead. On that note, to all my panelists for this extremely educated and I think noise-free debate, which is what we try to do on the round table, thanks so much for joining me.